I had a double feature kind of day, and this is the first film I saw, and my crowd was pretty packed for a 12 p.m. showing. The good news for this film is that The Rock can still sell tickets. The bad news is that he needed a stronger movie. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to For the Agenda. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Huang, and on this channel, I essentially watch mainstream content and let you know if it's worth your time because your time is valuable, and no one should tell you otherwise. Now, today, I'm going to be talking about the newest film from Warner Brothers and DC Comics, Black Adam. If you don't know what Black Adam is about, it stars Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and he plays this anti-hero who nearly 5,000 years ago, he was bestowed these almighty powers of the Egyptian gods and was imprisoned. Flash forward to today, he is freed from his tomb and unleashes his version of justice on the world. What's interesting about this film is from a financial perspective, Warner Brothers said that they only had enough money to release this film and Don't Worry, Darling. Creatively, what they have in common is that the script holds both of these films back from being great in their own respective ways. I'll be honest here. I thought the film was okay. It was fine. It's not DC's strongest effort. I would say that I enjoyed 2016 Suicide Squad just a little bit more from an entertainment perspective. Not in that it's a better film because they're kind of neck and neck, but I enjoyed that more because I was more entertained. And not to say that this film is bad, it has its moments, but it was kind of boring to me. The trailers I felt were much better and more exciting than the film we got. The backstory exposition at the beginning was quite bumpy. When it's introduced at the beginning of the film, it felt like I was watching a History Channel special, felt very monotone and dragged on. And for those who like history, they'll probably be very intrigued. But if you're like me and did not enjoy history class, you're going to look at the screen and go, okay, we got your backstory. We got the origin covered. Now let's get to the fun part. Let's get to the stuff that the trailer promised was coming before you completely lose me. Also, why feature this Shazam lore, which is important to the story, and then make zero mention, not even an Easter egg, of Billy Batson? And saying the word Shazam doesn't count. It doesn't seem like there's any desire from The Rock's part to want to make that film. The film he seems to want to make is for Black Adam to fight the Justice League because he punches through some of the characters' posters on the wall. And to be honest, that would be a much better film than this if it's action heavy and doesn't have to rely on a lot of lore that, I'll be honest, wasn't that well executed. Now you throw the Suicide Squad into that film and add more fighting sequences, and you'd probably be set. The Rock himself, he comes from WWE. So he knows about action spectacles and how to entertain the masses, get them riled up. And here he does a good job and even has some good comedic line delivery as we come to expect from him, to be honest. At times, I'm not gonna lie, I saw The Rock in spandex, not Black Adam, but I still liked what he did overall. Not everything, but for the most part, I liked what he did. I thought his dramatic moments needed some work, but the rest was great. Now, I want to give some quick shout outs here. I thought Sarah Shahi as Adriana was great, especially as like this Lara Croft equivalent character. She was smart, she was badass, she was really great in every scene she was in, and she really played her part very well. And of course, I got to give a shout out to the Queen, who is literally cashing checks through Zoom, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, a scene stealer. Iconic as always. She's out here showing up in this film on a Zoom call and having a huge impact on the story. Quite frankly, I love seeing Amanda Waller in live action. I think she is just fantastic. And she actually makes more of an impact than some things featured in this film. Now, the cast assembled to play the JSA, the Justice Society, was great. I would have rather seen a film focused solely on them before this film because I felt like that was what was missing. And of course, Amanda Waller's also in there because she's kind of involved. Aldous Hodge as Hawkman was great. Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher, the comic relief in this film. He does a really good job in this film. This is probably the role I've liked him the most in. He smashes it, pun intended. And Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone was probably my favorite in the JSA though. Every scene that Cyclone had with Atom Smasher was really great. I really liked that pairing. I wanted to see more of them. And Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, I felt was a pretty good performance, but a couple of character choices here, I was literally like, this is Doctor Strange. This is literally Doctor Strange. Like at times he has some of the same moves and everything. I know it's not the same lore. I know it's a different character, but he does some movements, and I'm like, didn't I just see that? Like, dude, you're in the wrong movie. That was Multiverse of Madness. Don't get me wrong. I liked his character. I liked this character quite a bit. But the first thing I thought right away was, is this supposed to be DC's answer to Doctor Strange? I don't know the character, so the answer is probably yes, and I had to figure it out on my own. But I liked his performance. I like the JSA quite a bit here. I really still think we should have gotten that movie before this film. The action here, I thought was fine. I thought it was good. For DC, this was a hard PG-13 wanting to be an R rating. I know that they had to tone it down because originally it got an R rating so that they could make it to PG-13. The visual effects looked cool and I didn't feel rushed. I really appreciate that. You can tell that everyone there made sure that everything looked right, it looked cool, and that they wanted to make sure that they didn't get the complaint of, oh, the VFX looked like they were rushed. They forgot to do this. They forgot to do this, which is a complaint Marvel has had recently. So I'm glad here that they actually took the time to make sure that everything looked great. However, what I didn't like was the slow motion scenes. Like they had some slow motion stare downs, and I'm just like, this is not it. This Quicksilver effect got old real quick. And that's the thing with this film. There are some good ideas here, but that script could have used some improvements because when it was slow, you felt it. And some ideas felt like you've seen this kind of film before, comic books wise. It sometimes felt like you've seen it before, or it was unoriginal, or just not necessary. And again, the slow motion scenes are literally ripped off from Quicksilver's scene in X-Men Days of Future Past. That's how it felt. And it's like, dude, it's kind of obvious. Like, do something else to make it seem like it's yours at least. And that third act was very, and I mean very bloated. It just kept going. Like, way to stretch out that cheek, Lemano. Like, you really kept stretching out the bubble gum, and then when it looked like it was going to end, I was like, oh, this is an interesting way to end this film. I kind of want to know more after this. It's going to end strong. And then I looked and I saw there were 30 more minutes left and a villain to still reintroduce. And I was like, wait, what? Which, by the way, the film's villain was very weak and so underdeveloped that it was shocking. By the time the film's villain showed up and was like, I'm the big bad villain, you kind of couldn't really take it that seriously because you were just like, you waited this long to clue us in that you're the big villain. Like with that kind of reveal and backstory that is given, there was so much more that could have been explored. Again, too many ideas thrown into one film, honestly. This is what happens when you have too many cooks in the kitchen. Because that backstory that this villain has, I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I want to hear more about this, just not now, because I've been here so long that I'm kind of just like, well, let's figure this out or something. Again, three films in one, which for some people, this is going to work. For me, was like a lot, to be honest. And as for that mid credit scene, I can kind of tell it was done last minute. To me, it was just okay. Only one person in my theater, this was like Thursday, opening day, who honestly was being annoying throughout, like literally out loud the whole time, going, are you serious? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. What? Like, that's literally this person throughout the whole film. And I'm just like, girl, really? The kids are behaving better than you are. Like, sit your ass down. You're like 25 or 27, and you're acting here like you're 10. I need you to simmer your ass down. Like, she was just popping for it, I guess. And for this scene, she popped for it. And my theater either knew it was coming or was just like, oh, work, time to go. Like, it didn't really seem like it impressed them that much. And that's because it sets something up, but not that much. It doesn't really feel like a commitment. Could have just taken it a little bit further to kind of excite people more, you know? So overall, I was let down by Black Adam until the action scenes saved it. Once the Justice Society enter the story, Black Adam becomes a more entertaining film to watch. Again, Dwayne Johnson, he does a really good job as the anti-hero, but the script holds this film back. It's not the strongest outing for the DCEU, but I don't think it's the weakest either. Like when it was fun, it was fun. When it was boring, it was boring. Would I recommend it? If you're interested in seeing it, I would say maybe catch a matinee for it. I would say you should see this in a theater. I saw this in a premium screen. It's like a Dolby Atmos equivalent in the US. Here it's called CXC. It helped with the visuals, but I don't know if I'd recommend you spend that much extra money unless you really want to see it. Like if you're a DC stan, you should go ahead and pay the extra money. My rating for this film is going to be a 6 out of 10. Could have been a lot better, but to be fair, it also could have been a lot worse. It was fine. It gave me some early 2000s vibes for a superhero film, which is not a bad thing. The film just needed some final fixes that I think maybe could have helped make it more of a crowd pleaser. That is my review of Black Adam. Thank you so much for watching. You can currently watch this in theaters. It's most likely playing near you, so check your local listings to see when you're going. If you like this video, you can hit the like button and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And you can follow me on Twitter and on Letterboxd at Leading Mohicans. And remember, regardless of what others feel about the things you love, it's always for the agenda. Bye.